Hi everyone, it's time for us to start our next session. I'm Nick King, I work on the Azure App Service team as a software engineer, and this is my colleague.
Hello, my name is Oded Devuskin. I'm a program manager on the Azure App Service team. I'm getting a bit of feedback here. So, we're going to be talking to you about, oops, I deleted my web app, and what do I do now? And don't expect us to break into a song and dance for Britney Spears, because that's not us, and it would be highly embarrassing. What we will talk to you is about what happens when you make common mistakes with app service, like deleting an app. So first of all, these are my kids, and this is usually me reacting to something that they've done which I'm going to really regret. Which is very much like if I'm doing something in code which I've deleted an app and I need to actually fix it right now. So who here is using app service right now? Show of hands. All right. So what we're going to be talking about generally about what happens within app service once you delete your app and how you actually fix that. But for those who want more of a general deep dive on app service, come to our booth a bit later on. So first of all, why are we even going into this undelete process? So mistakes always happen. Everyone steps on a banana peel every once in a while. Everyone makes mistakes in code. No one's perfect. And we do need that site name back right now because we need to be able to continue working on our development. Our customers need their app back. Our developers need their integration sites and so on. And no one really wants to sit around waiting for a support ticket to be resolved because we just don't have that time. We'll talk a bit in a second about what we actually had to do until now to get that resolved. So until now, if a customer actually deleted their web app and they need to be corrected, they would open a support ticket. That would be triaged by Nick on one of his many servicing loops, and usually there's other issues that are highly prioritized. You have to deal with them first. That would be assigned to an approver. Somebody would actually have to work on it, and you get the picture. That's about a 2-day cycle. What we're actually doing right now with the deployment of the Undelete option is that there's only one person that will need to actually correct this mechanism right now, which is you. And it will take about 5 minutes, and Nick will show you how. This will highly improve our SLA, how much time you actually need to get into production. And also, obviously, improve satisfaction, both of Nick and his team. They have less to do in fixing problems and can deal more with the code. And actually improves your satisfaction as well because you're getting what you need much faster. Right now, we're going to be introducing the preview version of the Undelete, which is for Windows and Linux app service apps. Later on, we're also going to be working on the functionality for Undelete for app service environments and for function apps as well. So our first demo will be showing in about PowerShell. And I'll give it over to Nick right now.
So first I'd like to ask, I'd like to poll the room. Who is more comfortable, who's very comfortable with PowerShell here? Okay, so we have a few people here, that's good. Anyone here like way more comfortable with Linux or just general command line? Because we have two options. I can demo PowerShell and Azure CLI. They're both two different command line tools we can use. Looks like we have a lot of PowerShell devs today, so I'm going to start with demoing PowerShell, and if we have enough time, I'll get to Azure CLI. Hopefully we'll have enough time. So let me switch over to my machine. All right, so here we have a web app that's just a simple web app. We can check out what's in it. It's just some pictures of people on my team. It's a simple static app, and it's going to be what we're going to use as an example of undeleting an app. So let's do something that you want to usually, in the past, you want to be really careful when you do this. Let's go ahead and delete this app and then try to restore it. So to delete it, we're required to type the app name in, type that in, then we click delete. And we're also going to check yes to delete the app service plan. So everything's going to be gone. Okay, great. So now that's deleted. We can navigate to this web page. We get a 404. It's completely gone. So let's go ahead and go to PowerShell. And I already have everything set up, but just to show you what you have to do to get this prepared, deleted web apps are only going to be listed on a subscription by subscription basis. So the first thing you want to do is get your subscription with this command, get Azure RM subscription, and look through your subscriptions and find the one that contains your deleted web app that you want to restore. This is very important, otherwise you won't find the deleted apps you're expecting. And what I need to do now is select this ID for the one that I'm using, which in this case is the App Service Tech Summit subscription. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to look at my notes real quick. Okay, so the next command is going to be select Azure RM subscription, and then give the subscription ID, and then we're going to select that subscription. So this is also just a little demo of Azure PowerShell as well. Azure PowerShell lets you manage all of your Azure resources through PowerShell. It's pretty cool. So now we have that subscription active, and if I want to look at my deleted web apps, I just use this new command that's in the new version of PowerShell. Get Azure RM deleted web app, deleted web app. If I press enter, it'll list all the deleted web apps that have been deleted in the past 30 days. So here we see that this is the web app I just deleted. We see the deletion time here, which was, this is in UTC time, but this is very recent. It's within the past minute. And I can actually filter by name and search for apps with the name Restore123, which is the app that I just deleted. And we'll see there's actually multiple. So this is actually an interesting thing that happens for a lot of customers. A lot of time you might create an app and you find out you didn't make it on the OS you expected. Maybe you made a Linux app and you want it to be on Windows or vice versa. So you might delete your app, or for whatever reason you might need to delete your app and then recreate it. And you might recreate it with the same name. So it's possible to have multiple deleted apps with the same name, and the difference here is that the ID is actually different. So you can check this deletion time. That's really the most user-friendly way to check which deleted app you're looking for. So we have a few to choose from here. We have one that was deleted yesterday, it looks like, and then there was one deleted a few hours ago today, and finally one that we just deleted. So let's move into another PowerShell concept. I can store the output of this command inside a variable in PowerShell. Because in PowerShell, everything, the output of commands is always an object. So let me store that inside of a variable called deleted app. So let me run this command again. And it's going to be stored inside this variable. And if we look at the variable, we'll see it has the same contents. Another interesting thing about this variable is because it has multiple apps in it, it's actually an array. So what we need to do to select the app that we want is index into this array. It's a little bit, it might be a little bit tricky, but that's how you do it. It's just the usual subscript operator. So let's move on to actually restoring this app now. So I'm going to walk you through the entire process of creating a resource group all the way down into restoring your web app. I'm going to go into the nitty-gritty detail. So to create a resource group, you have to use the command new Azure RM resource group. Resource group. And look at my notes again. And we give it the location of the resource group. So let's use Central US here. And we give it a name. So let's call it Ignite Undelete 001. Cool, so that's been created. And now the next step is to create an app service plan. App service plans are the things that are hosting your web apps. And again, you don't necessarily have to worry about this if you already have one created, but in this case, I'm going to show you everything. So let's go ahead and make that. New Azure RM app service plan. It looks like the tab completion did a little bit more than I wanted. And in this case, we also give a location. This location is going to be where your web app is hosted. Central US. Let's give it a name. Let's call it Ignite Undelete ASP001. I think we need a resource group as well. Let me check that. Yes, we do. So we're going to give it a resource group. Resource group name. And we're just going to copy this from what we created earlier. And we actually want to select the tier 2 because for Undelete, we only support Undelete for basic apps and higher. So if your app is basic, standard, premium, you can undelete it. If it's a free app, we don't typically support undeleting it like this. Your request will get rejected. So let's make sure we make a basic app again so that it's going to be able to be recovered.
So Nick, while that's being restored here, what is the time span I can actually look for my deleted apps?
The timeline? I'll get to that in a minute. Let me start the actual restore operation, because that's what's going to take some time. We're almost ready for that. So the next command is actually going to be the command that restores your app. And if you already had your app created, that's all you have to worry about. So this command is the interesting one. So remember, we have our deleted app stored in this variable deleted app, and specifically the second, the one at number 2. And we want to pipe this into the restore Azure RM deleted web app command. Piping basically just takes the object that I have and feeds it into the command, so that it's going to know to use this object for the reference of what it's going to be restoring. And I have to supply a few other things. I'm going to supply the target resource group, so this is going to be the resource group where the restore goes to. I'm going to give it that resource group of what I just created, which is, let's see again, ignite undelete 001. And then I also have to give it the target app service plan name so it knows where to create this. And it's actually going to figure out the rest for us. It's going to figure out from the object I give it, the name of the app, the name of the slot, all those kinds of things. It's going to figure that out for us, and it'll ask us to confirm. Here it's asking us to confirm that we want to recreate this app. And we're just going to say yes. And if all goes well, it should accept this restore request. So the first thing it's going to do is create the web app. It's doing this in the background. And once the web app's created, it's going to try to start the restore. OK, great. So it's accepted that request. This might take a minute. So let me answer Oded's question. I think Oded was asking about how long do you have to restore a deleted app after you delete it. You have up to 30 days to restore your web app after you delete it. And this is actually in compliance with GDPR. For GDPR compliance, we have to not make your app accessible to be restored after 30 days, but until then, we have a copy of it in our back end. So let's go navigate to this app that I just restored and check it out and see if it's got what we expect. So that's loading. Looks like the content hasn't been recovered yet. I can actually also go check out the web app in the portal. And we see this web app that's been created in the portal again. This was created automatically by that command. We see it's in the resource group we expected. It's in that app service plan we created. And actually, the settings should also be restored to this once it finishes. Let's try refreshing again and hope that, all right. Looks like it's not actually done yet. So let's look at the application settings. Maybe those have been restored now. OK, so I don't see them restored yet. If this doesn't work, I have a backup app that we can restore that should definitely work. You actually have to have your app live for at least an hour, maybe more, before you're going to be able to undelete it. Otherwise, we won't have a copy of it stored in the background. So this is something I just created recently, so that might be the reason why it's not restoring right now. But let's move on. Let's see, we have a few minutes. So I'll move into the Azure CLI now. And for Azure CLI demo, I'm going to skip a few of those things about creating resource groups and web apps. I'm just going to show you the commands for checking out deleted web apps. Something I really like to do in Azure CLI is use this -h parameter to get help on the commands I'm going to use. Can everyone see this? So as web app -h will show the commands available for Azure web apps. And we have a command group here called deleted. So if I type as web app deleted -h, we see that there's a few other commands we can use. List and restore, which is similar to what we had in PowerShell. So let's list these apps. OK, so we see all the deleted apps that we had. And once again, there's a lot of them, so let me filter by the name. To do that, I just type -n and then the name of the app. Cool, so we found all the apps that we had. Just to cover something real quick, again, -H is really helpful here. If I didn't know the parameters that were available, I can just use that -H, and it shows me I can filter by name, resource group, or slot for these deleted apps. So this time, I'm actually going to copy the ID, because in Azure CLI, that's the easiest way to use the deleted app that you want. You have to copy this resource ID for the deleted app. And let me start the restore. As web app deleted restore. Let's look at the parameters for this. So once again, we have name and resource group parameters. We also have this deleted ID parameter that's required. And there's also an argument restore content only that will not restore your app settings and only restore your files in case that's what you want. Let me check on this app that we just started restoring and see if we've gotten anywhere with it. So I'm going to refresh this. Looks like we didn't get anywhere with that one, but it's okay because I'm just going to use the other app that I have available, and this time it should work.
But we do have the app live, which is a step up in the right direction.
Yeah, the restore just didn't finish on it. So let me use deleted ID and paste in this ID. Let me double check that it's the one I wanted. Okay. Gonna give the resource group. So I'm gonna copy that from here. And then give the name, which is restore123. Hopefully we won't get an operation conflict. Maybe that other restore is still processing, but it looks like it actually just finished.
So Nick, as that's restoring, could you talk us through what happens if I don't know what resource group I actually need, or I don't have a resource group?
Right, so for restoring your app, you can restore to any resource group or app service plan or anything as long as it's using the same operating system. You can create a new resource group, you can use one that already exists. It doesn't really matter. We can migrate your content anywhere. So it looks like this is actually still running. It should be done pretty soon. Let's see, got a retry error here. Let me try restoring to another app that I have available. I have a backup app here to restore to, so maybe there's some sort of conflict there. Try to find it. I'm not seeing it. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to try using this app instead. Let me start a restore to this. Just going to paste in that resource group because, like I was saying, we can restore anywhere. Copy that app name and get that one started. And maybe this time it'll work. If not, we'll just have to, you can try this out yourself. If the restores ever fail, which they do fail sometimes, the best thing to do is just retry, because sometimes the files have locks on them or something that are keeping the web app from the files from being overwritten. This happens pretty often for customers who have a web app that's live and getting a lot of requests. So really the best thing to do is just keep trying this. We're going to keep improving the restore flow, but occasionally there are problems. I think we're ready to wrap up soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Let this one roll.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move over.
All right. So, in case you didn't memorize all the commands, which we didn't expect you to do, we do have all the commands available here. We have them documented. Official documentation, full documentation will be coming very soon. But I think the bottom line, what we're trying to get to, is that along the lines of self-service that we're opening up for app service all the time, we also have a full feature of diagnostics and troubleshooting issues. Full session about that tomorrow by Jen over here. So along those lines, we're providing more options for self-service for developers on their applications, providing much higher support levels, and also better satisfaction when you can solve things faster and on your own. So please check out the blog here, which has all the commands in there, and try it out yourselves. And if there's anything else, please meet us at the booth for app service. Thank you. Oh, and the app is back. You want to show it? Pop over.
All
There's
right.
the app.
So
It's back.
it actually did restore that time. We can look at the CLI. It actually didn't give us an error that time, so it's actually legit. This is what we had. We can go check the app settings, and we'll see that those were restored too. Yeah, so here we have the app settings that were here. There's an app setting called presentation successful that's set to true, and there's a connection string here that's also available. So if it does fail, just keep retrying, and it should eventually succeed.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the happy hour.